I watched a great mead start tasting off. Dry, bitter, and harsh in a week. It didn't look risky when the wood went in. That's what makes rare wood so sneaky. You don't see the mistakes coming. You won't feel it till you've already paid for the honey and the time. Then you pull a sample. Your face does that little wince before your brain admits it. This batch is drifting. We are going past the basic oak today. We're talking about cherry and chestnut for sure. We're also going to talk about high-risk woods people love to bring up, like hickory. Not to sound fancy. The goal is a final flavor that feels intentional and expensive. It should be clean. I'm going to show you a simple tool called the 2-glass bench test. It lets you predict what a wood would do before you commit your whole batch. Guessing with rare wood is how a great mead becomes a sink pour. Mead is delicate. Honey aroma can be floral, fruity, herbal, and it doesn't have the built-in tannin load of grape skins. When wood goes too far, it doesn't just add flavor. It buries the honey character. It dries the finish and leaves a scratchy edge that never softens. If you're the one who made it, you taste that failure every time you pour. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps me keep sharing these videos with our community. Success starts with one question before you drop a single stave or cube into a batch. Do you want the wood to be the headline, or do you want it to be the frame? That's the whole game. If it's the frame, the mead needs to smell like honey first. The wood shows up as support, structure, roundness, and a gentle aroma layer. If it's a headline, wood takes the center stage. That only works if the mead underneath has enough body and acid to survive it. I call this the frame first system. First, you pick the roll, then you use the 3 control knobs to stay in charge. The first knob is contact surface. More surface area means faster extraction, which is why small barrels hit so hard and fast. The second knob is toast. Toast level changes the aroma, and research shows it measurably shifts the volatile composition of the wood. The third knob is time. Time is not just about more wood. Time changes how the flavors marry. Stay too long and the finish slides from smooth to harsh into dryness. Pull too soon, and it tastes like layers that never really met. You're not chasing wood flavor, you're chasing a clean stop point. There are over 25 types of wood people try to use in mead. I provided a full list of all 25 woods, from Acacia and ash to mulberry and larch, in the description. If you try to solve this by vibes, you'll lose batches. You need to understand the science of the double shift. When you age in wood, 2 big things happen at the same time. The liquid pulls out tannins and phenolics, and the mead also sees oxygen exposure that shifts the texture. Extraction plus oxygen is the combo. But listen closely, because oxygen exposure is not a steady number. It varies by how the barrel was built and how the wood acts when it gets wet. That variability is why 2 batches can taste different even when you do the same thing. The upside is a layered result. The downside is that light mead can cross the line fast. So we lean on what is predictable first. That's why oak still leads the way. It's the most understood and the most steady. Oak acts like a skeleton. It gives the liquid a firm finish that makers call grip or shoulders. This structure keeps the mead from feeling thin or watery. It feels solid. Coopers have spent a long time dialing in the seasoning and the grain. You could pick a direction instead of a rolling dice. But rare woods are tempting because they go where oak doesn't. Sometimes you want lift and perfume. Sometimes you want a deep impression without that classic oak mark. You want a taster to stop mid-sip and ask what that flavor is. Now let's talk about cherry first. Cherry is not a guaranteed sweet shortcut. It can feel elegant when you control it, but it gets sharp if you chase it too hard. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. Cherry has aroma points that read as almond, spicy, or vanilla. These points change based on how much you use. Cherry moves fast. It can change the way a mead feels as it ages. Treat cherry like an aroma tool. It's not a brute force structure tool. If you're working with a Melomel or a bright traditional, cherry can support that top end. But the trap is over-extraction. When cherry pulls too much, the sweetness seems to shrink. The edges get louder. That's when the words start showing up. Thin, sharp, and woody. The fix is simple, but it takes discipline. Start with less wood than your ego wants. Taste on a schedule. Pull it the moment you get the character you came for. You always can add more wood, but you never can subtract the mistake. Now let's flip the mood for chestnut. This is what you reach for when you want depth and a mature feel. Chestnut has a real history in cooperage. Technical reviews described it as toasted and vanilla-like notes and a rounder character. But here's the warning label in big letters. Chestnut can create a more oxidizing environment than oak. That can be helpful when you want fast growth. It becomes risky if you leave a light mead in contact too long. Oxidation plus heavy extraction can flatten the aroma and make it dry. So chestnut is not a set it and forget it wood. Chestnut shines when the base mead has enough mass to stand up to it. Think of richer honeys, Bochets, and strong traditionals. It's beautiful there. But if your mead is light and floral, chestnut can bulldoze it. Don't wait until it tastes woody to act. Move when the mead starts to feel three-dimensional. That's your stop sign. Now, we have to talk about hickory. People love to say the name because it sounds bold. Hickory is not a standard stave wood. Historically, you'll see it in barrel hoops more than the aging wood itself. That means two things for you. First, there's less steady data for hickory aging than for oak or cherry. Second, you must treat it like a powerful spice. It belongs in tiny trials. If your goal is smoky and intense, hickory can overwhelm you fast. Restraint is the only smart move. Now, don't get tricked by the word small. Small barrels are not cute, they are fast. As the size drops, the wood to liquid ratio climbs. A 5-gallon barrel can overdo it before you even realize it. If your mead is light and you want control, use bigger vessels. You always have to remember that wood is not sterile. It's porous. Aging in wood carries a risk if your handling gets sloppy. Boiling hot water and steam are great tools, but cleaning always comes first. Wood structure makes it harder to clean than stainless steel. Treat a barrel like a living piece of gear. Keep it topped and keep the air out. Don't let a long wait turn into vinegar notes. Now, before you commit the batch, pull a sample. Split it into 2 identical glasses. One is the control with no wood. The other gets a tiny measured amount of your wood. Use the same toast and the same source. Taste them side by side on the same day. Don't ask if you taste wood, you will. Ask if the honey aroma got clearer or duller. Ask if the finish got silkier or scratchy. Ask if the flavor feels wider or if it collapsed into one-note wood. If the wood steals the honey, it's a bad trade. If it builds structure without shouting, that's your winner. It means the wood is supporting the mead instead of replacing it. Here's the master map for pairing. If you have light traditional mead, sherry makes more sense. It keeps the nose alive. If you have a bigger traditional with a dry finish, chestnut is better. It builds that round feel fast. For a sizer with fresh apple, cherry supports the top end. If the sizer has baked apple vibes, chestnut works, but don't let it flatten the fruit. For a melomel with bright fruit, cherry is safer. If the melomel has dark fruit and weight, chestnut adds structure. In a bochet, chestnut is the better match because the mead already has mass. For a metheglin, cherry keeps the spice bright. If you want a warm winter spice, chestnut deepens it. For a piment, look at the grape style. A white grape style leans cherry, while a red grape style can handle chestnut. The honey type matters too. If the honey is bright and floral, cherry is the move. If the honey is dark and intense, chestnut can stand up to it. Watch for the 2 failure flavors. Over-extraction shows up as a bitter sawdust edge, the finish turns dry, and the honey aroma gets quiet. Oxidation shows up as a bruised fruit note. The nose gets flat, and everything starts tasting the same. If you feel either one, pull the wood. Think in stages. You build the structure early with one wood and switch to the other later to keep the nose alive. The best wood-aged meads still smell like honey first. The wood is the second layer. It should look like craftsmanship, not an accident. That's the standard. If you're into real-world mead experiments, tap the like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video.